Just a quick video on how to remove the coin mechanism from a Vend Rite soap dispenser with the Vertical 5 by Greenwald. So the first thing you want to do is unlock the door for your coin mechanisms. And then there's 3 screws you gotta remove, which let's see if I can take this out of the tripod here. So for starters, you need to remove these 3 screws along with these 2 springs. Unfortunately, it's going to be hard to get a camera angle on that, so you're going to have to just take my word for it. And when you remove this mechanism here, the coin slot mechanism, this plate here is threaded, and then these 2 nuts are basically on the end. So you want to remove these 2 nuts first. So I'm going to get the easy stuff out of the way first. You're going to need to disconnect both springs. The big one's going to want to come loose and just kind of go away, so don't let it disappear, don't lose it. And then the little one, there we go, that one's loose. And next will be to remove those 2 nuts. And to remove these nuts, you're going to need a 3/8 inch wrench. They are a nylon locking nut. Whoops. You can unscrew the Phillips head screws with the nuts on, but I wouldn't recommend it just because you're working against 2 sets of threads. So now once you get those locking nuts off, these should unscrew pretty easily. Oh, that one's tight. Good thing I have my drill on me. There we go. And you're going to want to be mindful that this is going to drop down once you release it, because there's nothing to hold it up right now. And once you remove the screw, you will want to keep mind of this little plate here. This is the plate that those springs hook onto, and you want the side that's got the notches going inside the plate to be pointing up. So these little tabs are the bottom, and then that's the top. Once you remove the 2 nuts, the screw in the back, the screws in the front, and the plate, this assembly just lifts straight up. And when you put it back on, you'll need to be mindful of which way this little flappy door is. And once you get that assembly off, getting the rest of it apart is pretty easy. Let's see if I can do this by hand with this small screwdriver. I'm going to use my drill. So you got 4 screws around the perimeter. Oops. Those are the 4 screws I removed. The little lip on them for spacing purposes. And then there's this flathead screw here. And when you loosen this flathead screw, you're going to want to make sure you have your hand down on this front piece so it doesn't go flying away. Because this is the last screw that's holding it to the housing of the unit. You can see now I just barely loosened it and it's flopping around. Alright, now just drop down as is. And there's your whole mechanism. I do have a different video on how to take this apart if you want to change out the value of however many quarters it requires. When you remove this, you will also want to be aware of this plate assembly here. This is basically like the door that shifts over. This goes side to side inside of this mechanism, and it blocks those slots, so I guess people can't pull the quarters out or something, I don't know, or maybe they can't pick it. But yeah, so you want to make sure that you don't lose the orientation of this. I don't think you can put it in the wrong way though. Okay, so this will only go in one way, this little door. And then with this, you get that little hook that needs to be pointing towards the inside of the cabinet, like so. And then, just for the sake of demonstration purposes, just gonna remove this backing plate. And just same deal, I mean, make sure the backing plate's aligned correctly. As you can see, 3 holes here, 3 holes there, 2 notches there, 2 notches there. So you'll put that back, and then you'll feed the coin mechanism through with obviously the coin slots pointing towards the front when you have it vertical, so it's not upside down. And then obviously you get your 3 holes and 2 holes for the screws. So you'll feed that through the bottom when you reinstall it, and start with the screw that's the most convenient for you. I already have the flathead one in my hands, so I'm gonna get that one started. Maybe a little easier with screwdriver since it's tight space. And don't tighten it all the way, just leave it loose. Because next you're going to install the perimeter screws. The flathead screw should help you with alignment for the most part. But I've always found with stuff like this, it's better if you get everything in loose, shimmy it into place, and then tighten everything down. As you can see, it's not quite perfectly lined up right now. Oops. Get my fingers to play nice. Alright, that's not cooperating. Having a screwdriver with a good magnet on a magnetic tip on it is definitely helpful with stuff like this. If you have a strong magnet and you rub it against the screwdriver in the same direction multiple times, you can magnetize it or make the magnetization stronger. There is also special tools for magnetizing screwdrivers, but I don't own one of those. So let's see here, why does this look crooked? No, that's sitting right. All right. I just wasn't very observant when I tore it out. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of tighten these by hand first. I'm gonna use my drill to get them nice and tight after I'm done tightening these by hand. Kind of cycling around. You could do some fancy patterns, some star pattern or whatever like you should do on tires, but this isn't super critical. Biggest thing is just making sure it's where it belongs. And don't, if you use an impact like I am, don't torque them down too hard, because this is just, I think these are zinc die cast. I don't think they're even cast aluminum. So it's kind of soft metal. Get this nice and tight. There we go. All right, now the hard part. So we gotta reinstall the little flat mechanism that pushes the boxes out. You're gonna wanna reach down from below and basically push the mechanism in like I just did. Have it sticking up. You wanna make sure this little flippy door here is pointing up along with the spring. I don't have enough hands. There we go. So it'll look kind of like this when you slide it over. I think there might be enough clearance. Yeah, the spring will. If you lose the spring and it gets away from you, it'll be fine. And to put it back together, something to help make it easier, what you can do is this small Phillips screw. It goes in this back hole, You want to put it in loosely though, because basically these top 2 screws are what holds it in place, and this is kind of like to keep it tensioned, keep it pushed up against the bottom of the coin mechanism. So when you put it back on, you start with the little Phillips screw and just ever so gently screw it in here. There we go. And just like a couple turns, not a lot. So as you can, whoops, as you can see, this is still really loose and floppy, but that's how it needs to be. And next, we're going to take the little metal plate that the spring's attached to. Going to put that there. Take your Phillips head screw, and you're going to screw it through this hole. And as I said, this hole here is threaded, which is kind of an odd design, but I'm guessing it's just a multi-purpose type thing. And it may want to be tricky on you. Never can have enough fingers and hands. Same deal, don't screw it down all the way, just kind of get started. So that's kind of mostly tightened, but not quite. Another trick is if they don't want to thread correctly, take your screwdriver, just turn it backwards, counterclockwise a couple times. That'll help the threads line up if they aren't all boogered up. Alright, so that's tight. That's tight. We'll reattach the spring. It just pulls up over there like that. And we'll get the, we'll wait on the big spring. I think the big spring is going to make it go wonky on us. So now we can do the nylon nuts. Spin these on real quick. And you don't want to crank these down super tight. Just want to make sure they're nice and snug. There we go. Because the purpose of these 2 nylon locking nuts is to hold this plate upwards against the mechanism. Alright. And then that little Phillips screw in the back. Just going to tighten that. Same deal, doesn't need to be super tight, just tight enough. And now we can reattach the spring. You should be able, since it's fairly rigid, you should be able to just fish it through. Kind of feel around. And once you get it hooked, keep some tension on, just lift it up and over the little tab. And now, should be back to normal. I'm gonna grab my key here. Once you have fixed it, or put it back together, that is, cycle it a few times. There you go. Just try to slide out from under me. And just make sure the mechanism still operates smoothly. I guess that was out of frame. But yeah, just cycle it a few times. Make sure the mechanism still operates smoothly. Make sure it still dumps out your soap or softener box that you have above. And yeah, you should be good to go. And really the only thing that would cause you problems would be is if you over tighten something and you got this cockeyed and crooked, or maybe you messed up the spring somehow. So as long as it's appropriate amount of tension, you shouldn't have any problems. But yeah, if it doesn't work after you get back together, just make sure that all the mechanisms are operating smoothly and there's nothing that's binding up. As you can see how that all works. So hopefully that's helpful, and thanks for watching.